Santa's truck line. Are you ready for these toys?
Yes, sir. Bring the toys to me.
Let's have fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas time.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truck Line and Stephen Sanders Trucking. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail. Those are your drop-off points. The following week, next week, if you want her to come on.
Yeah, we could.
The TV's not on.
TV's not on. Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos. He's Forrest Lee, and it is a Tuesday, if I remember right. Tuesday, and of course, two more shopping days for Christmas, of course, or actually 3 more shopping days for Christmas. So that's 3 right there. Means 3 shopping days left to Christmas.
December the 22nd, they're cooking at the Cattleman's Barn for Turkeys for Heaven this morning.
They've been up since 2 o'clock cooking turkeys, and of course the great program each year that Kelly Sanders puts together and her crew.
Yes, sir.
For Christmas with, and of course, it's a wonderful, wonderful program and that provides not only turkeys but wonderful food and to make somebody a wonderful Christmas dinner. And there's been donations all week and all month, for this program, and we appreciate all the efforts and all the volunteers that go into, and they call it Turkeys from Heaven.
Yes, sir. Right? They do it annually, the 22nd of December every year. And if you still would like to donate your time, you can go show up to the Cattleman's Complex. I'm sure they could put you to work doing some kind of chore, putting the meals together, delivering, and all that kind of stuff.
And
so just drive on out to the complex.
It's a big thing. Delivering is a big thing. We've got some guests coming into our building, and we're going to look forward to our one of my best friends coming up. Raymond is going to be on our show, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, pass the words across Facebook, across the nation, and across the world that the nation's favorite barber, Raymond Ledford, is going to be here, and we're going to talk. Of course, he is the godfather of the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. They came here back in the early 40s, or when, Raymond?
51.
51, came here in 1951. And of course,
he's one of the premier fishermen too, and he catches his honey hole is down there at the river just past that cypress stump.
I know this. He comes in every year to talk to us, and everybody looks forward to it. And he talks about his great experiences growing up at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home, and and then we got a call coming in, and this will be on Zoom television, I think. Good morning. How you doing?
Hey, morning. How are you?
Where are you calling from, sir?
Drayton Beach, Florida.
Drayton Beach, Florida. What is somebody in Drayton Beach, Florida wanting to call into a talk show that is laid back like this one?
Well, I've been doing it for 8 years. So,
8 years? Wow. What is it? Just something that you do? You pick up the phone and you dial it and then hang up? Is that right?
You know, the 2 leading candidates for the Auburn job now are Bill Clark and Neil Brown.
Bill Clark and Neil Brown, and they couldn't go wrong with either one of them.
Would you think that the other candidate might be heading to Tennessee? I mean, if Tennessee were to make a change, would Kevin still have a shot at that one?
I think that Tennessee is going to get Freeze. He Freeze out of Liberty.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
You know, Tennessee's opting out because of COVID, and Army will replace them. Is that the Liberty Bowl? Army's going to replace Tennessee?
They'll actually play West Virginia.
Yeah, Major Applewhite has landed in Mobile at the University of South Alabama.
And I'd like to know how many times that he has landed. That would be something.
Offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach.
Exactly right.
That's crazy because he had just taken that same position at Arkansas State.
Yeah.
So that is something.
Bo Pelini's out at LSU.
When does, of course, he's out as a defensive coordinator.
He's out as a defensive coordinator.
Mike, when do we need? When do you think Auburn's going to make that move?
I mean, it's already a laughing stock in the country. They waited this long to hire a coach, so I would imagine in the next couple of days.
Okay, you getting ready for Christmas?
West Virginia fans are furious, though. Already basically saying that he's going to interview for the job, and even if he doesn't get it, they don't want him as a coach. So he's going to catch a lot of heat either way.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a lot to talk about today, and of course, as far as Lee is on our show, and also we've got Rice is in here, and Raymond Ledford is in here, and he's going to be on our show this morning. We're looking forward to that. And somebody, if you shut down the shop and right now, you just told them it'll be temporarily closed this morning, and it should be a lot of fun to have Raymond on our show. On a sad note, we're still losing great people, and one of them, Carla Guthrie, a wonderful, beautiful lady, married to one of my good friends, Gary Guthrie, of course, was a longtime president of Troy Bank and Trust Company, and great members of our community. And of course, not only does Troy mourn the loss of Carla Guthrie, but the city of Elba. She was born and raised in Elba to a wonderful, wonderful family of Mr. Cook. She was Carla Cook, and her dad was the owner of the Chevrolet place there in Elba for years, and also a Chevrolet place here in Troy, and Cook Chevrolet. But of course, has been a member of our community a long time, and we lost her this week, and our prayers and our thoughts go out to their family and many other families that have been hit hard by this virus. And
well, there's another lady I want to mention this morning, Miss Molly Womble Sanders. Her husband, Mr. Perry Sanders, but she passed away. And
where is she from?
Well, she was from Troy, Alabama. Real sweet lady, and but one of her children is Danny Sanders that works at REA, and one of her grandchildren lives across the street from us. But sweet lady, they had lived in Goshen, Mr. Perry and Miss Molly, but she had moved, I think, to Troy, but she passed away, and I'm not sure what the circumstances were. But sweet, wonderful lady.
Yeah, and of course, I wish we had more and more information about not only the people that are sick, but the people that we've lost during this terrible, terrible crisis.
Auburn lost one of their all-time greats, and NFL Hall of Famer Kevin Green passed away yesterday as well. He's only 58 years old.
How old was he?
58.
He was only 58. I'm not sure how what was wrong and what caused him to pass away, but he was a great player in the NFL, and he had walked on at Auburn and led Auburn sacks, I think, in 1983. And he was a guy who lived in Birmingham, Alabama for a long time, so I would see him out and about from time to time.
Well, Raymond is in the house. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to more of Today in L.A. Come on up here, Raymond.
Bill, you want to
Stephen
come?
Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truckland. Are you ready for these
Yes,
songs?
sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's have
Christmas.
fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas time.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truck Line and Stephen Sanders Trucking. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail, those are your drop-off points.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Christmas and Happy New Year from the staff and the management of Troy Cablevision, and of course our show today in L.A. Ladies and gentlemen, with us this morning is a living legend, and I mean a living legend in Troy and Pike County, and Raymond Ledford, ladies and gentlemen, owner and operator of Raymond's Style Shop on South Frontage Street. Always good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Coach.
Good morning.
I know, Raymond, this crisis has had an effect on the barber business. Of course, you cut many hair every day for how many years?
Monday, I was 78 years old, and the week that school gets out every year for Christmas, I got out on Wednesday. I went to Barry's Barber Shop and started Saturday morning. 1960. I've been
1960.
60 years in Troy, Alabama.
In Troy, Alabama, you've had a
That's
many.
three score. Three score.
And
2 times 20.
You've had a many a man sit down in front of you and trust you with their hair. Is it hair or hair?
It's hair.
It's hair. And
You
of
old
course,
country boys say it, but it's hair.
and of
But
course,
I have enjoyed it. I told them when I came to Troy, Alabama in 1951, when I got here, ever since then I've lived a charmed life. Troy, Alabama's it's the #1 city in the United States.
I believe you wholeheartedly.
And Alabama is the #1 conservative state in the United States of America. We're proud of Alabama. We're proud of Troy, Alabama. And,
You know, if you'll think about it, over the years, of course, when you were with my good friend for all those years, you know, of course, Ed Bird's barbershop, and then, of course, when you out of high school started cutting hair up there, Junior Bird had several people to work for him, and you and your good friend Pale Robert Smith went to work with him. Tell us about that.
Pale had already started with Junior Bird, and he had been working about 2 years. He was fellow got in my chair one day, and he says, "What is Pale's name?" I said, "What's his last name?" I said, "Face." He said, "No, man, what are you talking about, Face?" I said, "Yeah, here 1954, Franklin A. Rent." He was, Pale called him Hopalong, Cassidy called him Hopin, so he named Pale, son of Paleface, Jane Russell, and Bob Hope. And he got the name Paleface, and it stuck with him. But then I told the fellow, I said, "No, his name is Robert Earl. His alias is Robert Earl Smith."
That's right.
From Ozark, Alabama.
Is that where he came from, Ozark?
Ozark.
Who encouraged you to do hair cutting?
The what?
How did you get started in it? Who encouraged you to do it?
They trained the barbers in the home to cut the boys' hair. We had two houses, the Scott Cottage. I came to the Scott Cottage when I was 8 years old, 1951.
We're talking about the Alabama Baptist Children's Home.
Where the sorority hill is now.
Let's go back to that, and we'll move on up from there.
Yeah.
Of course, he was born and raised born in Birmingham, and tell us about your early life in Birmingham.
Yeah, I was leading a Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer life up in Mount Olive, Alabama, Gardendale, and then we moved to Morris, Alabama. And
which is right there in Birmingham, pretty much.
I was born in Birmingham, and then Morris is about 18 miles up the road from Birmingham. And I tell them when I started the school, every morning we had to cross Turkey Creek. That's a world famous creek. And every morning we got halfway across the bridge. We was barefooted. Wintertime or summer, we was barefooted.
How many boys and girls were there in your family?
3 boys. I had 3 brothers. The world famous Fuzz Ledford in Glenwood, Alabama. Otis Leon. Then Ronald Edward. He was a world famous man. Loved to fish.
All of those still living?
No, Fuzz and I the only one living. We lost our other 2 brothers, and you know.
All right, well, how did you get to the Alabama Baptist Children's Home? Did you do bad, or
no? They just
what happened?
The welfare back then. The welfare, you know, in the churches in town, they'd call and the welfare folks and tell them, say, these folks ain't faring too good, and
then it was you and your 3 brothers.
Yeah, well, folks was alcoholics, and that's the reason we came to Troy. But you know, everything I reckon turned out for the best. We lost one family and then moved in with a big crowd of family. We had 200 brothers and sisters, and they turned over. You know, everybody. Some would graduate and some would come in.
So they walked in one day at home. The welfare people came to your house and told your parents that they were going to take you.
They wasn't there.
They weren't even there?
They wasn't there. They came, the lady drove up by the road out there and said she was with the Alabama Welfare Department and come and get in her car. She was carrying us with her. And we got to the Alabama Baptist Children's Home, and
now they took you away from your mother and daddy. Did you see them much again?
My mother never did come to see me in Troy, and my daddy came one time.
Yeah. You just pretty much lost your mom and dad as far as them raising you. Like
I say, my 2 older brothers, they were already at the home. They had got them a year or 2 before, but we came in and.
Now, how old were you again?
8 years old.
And then at that time, over 200 kids, boys and girls, lived at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. And the cottages that are actually there today that are used at sorority houses now.
Yeah,
they're pretty much the same houses, weren't they?
They tore the Scott and the Cloud cottage down and built another house there. But the Big Boy's house and the Bush cottage, they tore the Bush down. That's a Dr. Colley Memorial. The college building, that's the Big Boy's house.
Yeah. Now, were you afraid? Now, here you are, little boy, you were 6 years old?
8.
8 years old. You were 8 years old, and they were taking you from your home and to Troy, Alabama. And tell us about that.
We knew Charlie and Ron was already there, so we wasn't.
Now, how old were they? How
Ron, Fuzz, Leon is 2 years older than me, and Ron's 2 years older than him, and Charlie's a year and a half older than Ron.
And how old are you now? If I can ask that personal question.
78.
78 years old.
Last Monday was
All right,
birthday.
so you moved into the little boy's cabin, is
Yeah,
that right?
Scott cottage. The Scott and the Cloud was the two cottages, but Forrest asked me about how did I learn to cut hair. The Scott cottage, 8 to 12 years old. I was 6 to 12. And then the Cloud cottage, 6 to 12. The barbers cut these two houses every 2 weeks. Scott cottage would come, and then
The barbers
the
in
next
town?
week, yeah, we cut them.
Oh, y'all did.
We
Okay.
did. So I just on that story, I went in and watched Pale. Pale was cutting.
Now, how old were you then?
I was about 13 or 14.
Okay.
And I watched Pale one Saturday. Me and Johnny Scoggins started off, and then me and MacArthur Weaver. He's a world famous man.
Yeah, that's right.
And but anyway, we went in there and we stood there and watched. I watched Pale and he watched the other barber. 2 hours one week, 2 hours the next week. The third week we watched 1 hour. They cut about. There was 22
Did
boys.
you have
Oh yeah, we had
electrical
good set of clippers.
or was it just
No,
just
we
scissors?
had the good clippers, and these clippers, they were the best in.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is your life, Raymond Ledford. And of course, lives here in Troy since he was 8 years old, and now doing the same job at the age of 78 years old. Let's talk about, and of course, Mike.
When did Raymond Ledford and Mike Amos meet for the first time? I'm interested in that.
Oh, that was shoot.
Well, I'm quite a bit younger than
Yeah.
Raymond. I'm a cool 73 years old, but I met Raymond like so many other people met Raymond at Junior Bird's barber shop on Elm
Yeah.
Street in Troy.
But I've been working where I am right now. I worked for Bird 18 years, and then 44. I've been August the 5th of 20. I was at used to be the old Bush Fabric building on Brundy Street here. I've been at that barbershop 44 years, going on 45. And
well, your present address for how long right now?
4031 Elm Street. I've been there since 1972.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, that was out there close to the bypass, but it was Highway 231 ran right in front of you. Is that right?
What?
Yeah, all right.
No, we on. You talking about Elm Street?
Yeah, but where you're located now at one time.
Oh yeah, that's on Brundy Street. Yeah,
Dr.
231.
Dr.
Right by Dr. Edge's house.
at his mansion out there.
Yeah.
And did
Yeah,
you
I saw that, when I was a young boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and of course you grew up in Troy, and the rest is sort of history
Yeah.
about this man who's become such a legend. But let's talk a little bit about you growing up and your Christmas, how Christmas was for the kids that lived out at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. Give us, of course, 8 years old, you're in the cottage with how many people?
About 22 boys.
And everybody had a responsibility.
Yeah, you had a job. Every morning you'd get up and you'd do your job, and then you'd eat breakfast.
And what kind of job would that be? Something in the
My
yard?
first job, I swept and mopped the hall and I reckon you'd call it the living room.
At what time of the morning would they wake you up?
We'd get up about 6 every morning.
Yeah, and that doesn't matter whether it was Friday or Saturday, does it?
No, it was, of course, we were ready to go. We'd rather stayed up all night and run wide open.
Yeah.
But we had to go to bed.
But you had some good times, and of course you had a lot of responsibility, and of course, what were some other duties that you had?
Oh, you'd work in the yards. My job, you'd stay on your job about 3 months, and then they'd change over. You might rake the yards or work in the flower beds, whatever. The yard, when you rake yards, you did anything they wanted.
And then, of course, you saw all those big boys, including the late great Bobby Marlowe, the All-American from the old orphan boy from Troy, Bobby Marlowe, made two-time All-American in Alabama.
He was tough. Bobby was tough.
But you used to see him playing on the front lawn of the.
No, I didn't see Bobby. Now Bobby got there. He left probably. He had moved uptown with Robert A. McGee.
Robert A. McGee. Okay.
But I didn't. He graduated.
Did he ever come back and see y'all though?
He did. We saw him. He came back. And
of course, made two-time. He was All-American offensive and defensive player at Alabama back in the early '50s. And of course, I know you had a lot of heroes growing up.
Oh yeah, Wallace Huggins, Columbus Patman. He rated #1. He was like Superman on the rating because he was tough.
He was big and strong, and of course Bill Rice.
Oh yeah, Bill Rice was fine as you want to see.
And of course Bill Rice was one of your heroes in town. And
oh yeah, we cut his hair. He played football at Alabama. And
he had a flat top, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that Bill was big and strong.
Yeah.
Who was the most influential person in your life that helped take care of you and influenced you when you were there at the children's home?
Oh, my brother Charlie and Ronald, and then Mr. Robert Hobson Shire. He's one
of my favorite people of all time.
He told us a story. When you go to church and you go to school, when we went to school, you had prayer in schools. And that's the #1 item we need right now. A little old boy there sitting there, and he's 5 years old in kindergarten. They start him off, they'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, the prayer, and then somebody get up and tell the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
That's right.
But out about, we were probably 12 years old, and Mr. Hobson Shire says, he had us in a pep talk, giving us a talk, and a little speech, and telling you got to do good, we want you to do good, and we love you, and you're going to do good. Yeah. So anyway, we sat down, and Mr. Robert Hobson Shire says, you're going to go out here, and there's 200 of y'all. You go out here, and one big man, he's leading this 200 folks. He said, you're on a 200-foot cliff, and the fella running this, the big club here, 200 young men, he says, I'm fixing to jump off this cliff. I can fly like Superman. Says, are you going to sit there and make up your own mind, and this fella's going to jump off, and he wants all 200 to go with him? Said, no, sir, I'm going to stay where I am. I'm not jumping off that cliff. I know I can't fly. I'm going to make up my own decision. And I always had, folks, when they had about 14 or 15, they start smoking. So, Raymond, why don't you smoke with us? I said, no, that can't be good for your lungs. You need to breathe good. That can't be good for you. I'm not going to smoke. So I never have smoked in my whole life. But Mr. Shire, he'd tell you a lot of things. He came in. Mr. Cox was the first superintendent, and he was pretty stern, and he'd side with the parents, the house parents every time, regardless. Yeah. Mr. Shire came in. He decided, there's two sides to this story, and he'd listen to both sides, but he'd tell you these house parents are boss, they love you. And,
all right, let's talk about this young man from the Alabama Baptist Children's Home, Raymond Ledford, of course, our dear friend, and born and raised at the pretty much ever since he was 8 years old at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home, which is non-existent now, but it did wonderful things until what day? When did they finally shut down?
Oh, 2000.
In 2000.
The government closed them up in 2000. One little order. They said you can't get any child, you can't get him further than 50 miles from his environment. I came from Morris, Alabama, 170 miles up the road. I would have missed out on a good life, you know. But now, when we closed up, you couldn't get a child. You could get him from Ozark, but you couldn't get him from Prattville, Dothan, Greenville, 55 miles, you know, to Greenville.
As we mentioned earlier, of course, there were 200 more boys and girls. The girls were at the one end of the
campus,
and then boys at the other end. And you coming in there as a 8-year-old, and of course, the goal, I reckon, right off the bat, you know, compared to your life at home, you felt safe at Alabama Baptist Children's Home.
Real safe.
Tell us about growing up there and what, of course, you know, you grew up from one house to another house. You get older, and you lived there for how many years?
I lived 10 years at the home.
10 years
I
at the Alabama Baptist
I
Children's Home.
could have stayed 11, but in 1961 I moved uptown with Johnny Scoggins and Paleface.
Yeah. Now, growing up, you know, times weren't always good. You were getting into trouble and everything, and of course, your goal was to one day milk cows in the barn. And you felt like once they let you go down at 4 o'clock every morning and milk cows, you felt like you were a big boy, didn't you?
When I was 13 in the Bush cottage and they moved me on to the big boy's house, you swelled up a little bit when you got to the
big boys were what ages?
Oh, I reckon 13 to 20 or whatever.
Till you left, is that right?
You left, yeah. Mike talks about that barn duty. Pale, he milked 18 cows and I milked 17.
That was every morning, not every other morning.
Hey, twice a day.
And it didn't matter how cold it was, where there was ice on the ground. That little old boy.
It's like the mailman.
That little old boy was getting, that light was coming on at 4 o'clock, and you were getting dressed to walk down to the barn, which was pretty good ways.
Where was that barn located on Elm Street?
It was right down, you know where the tennis courts are now? That was a big hill there, high bank.
Okay.
You know, 18 or 20 feet high, maybe higher than that. But the barn sat there on that.
But you delighted in being able to milk cows. I mean, once they gave you the trust to go milk the cows, you felt like a real big boy. You felt very important, didn't you?
I don't know about that, but we knew we was going to do our job.
Actually, how many total people went down there, and how many cows do y'all have to milk?
Oh, Pale milked 18, I milked 17, that was it.
Yeah.
Twice a day. You had to go twice a day. Let me ease this little old story in. My brother-in-law, White Austin, he's a fine fellow, retired from Sanders Lee. He was the supply man out there for Sanders Lee. But anyway, we was sitting on my porch one day, and White came up, and he likes the Amish folks. Of course, I do too. And he'd go visit the Amish folks. I said, White, one day when you go up there, I said, get me a milk cow and get you one. And he said, all right, I'll start looking when I get up there. So, sat there about 30 minutes. We ate some cake, drank coffee. White was, you know, we didn't say nothing else about it, but I just thought about it. I said, you know, you got to milk that cow in the morning. You got to go back in the evening. You got to milk that cow twice a day, 7 days a week.
So you milked 17 cows. You milked them in the morning and you milked them in the afternoon.
I went down there at 4:30. We was there.
Why did you have to milk them twice?
Oh, the cow, that's just the way a cow is. You have to, if she hasn't got a calf on her, you got to milk her twice a day.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is before he goes to school every day now. And of course, you know, you live there in the cottage, and you know, you had those responsibilities. Well, of course, y'all would take the milk after you milked the cow. What did you do with it then?
We'd pour it up in the milk cans, galvanized milk cans. It was stainless steel, I reckon. They was real shining, clean. You clean the milk up. every day, you know. They'd wash them before they sent them back, then we'd wash them again.
And
But anyway,
this
we
is before
pulled
all
it.
your buddies had even woke up. You
Oh,
had,
yeah,
you had
they-
Pale been up
well,
and it was cold.
they
What did you
got
do
a-
about being cold?
Oh, you have a good coat, brogans. You get you a pair of brogans. Now that's a world famous
Brogans.
shoe. Marcel Ledford wore the brogans.
right, yeah.
But if you had a pair of brogans, that's what they call them. You could do about anything now. You
Well,
could go
you know,
in
and
the
of course,
mud.
that was a big responsibility because after that, they took that bucket of milk. Now, hear this now, ladies and gentlemen. They took that bucket of milk up to each cottage, and that's what they had for breakfast,
Yeah.
that milk that y'all had just... Now, was it cold? Was the
Oh
milk
yeah,
cold?
we strained the milk. We poured it in the strainer when we emptied out. You milked one cow and you poured it up.
Did you have to walk all the way across campus to the girls' cottage and say, here's your milk?
No, we rode over 50, probably about a, it was an old Chevrolet back, probably a 40-something.
So y'all carried it to every house.
The old step-side truck. We carried that, well, the barn had Shep White, Mr. Shep White. He was the store manager, you know, our storage room, and he had a Chevrolet truck, and the barn, we had one.
So every morning they went down and they milked the cows, and then they took them to the milk to each house. Now, did that milk come straight from the cow, or did you homogenize it, or what?
We didn't homogenize or
Wait a minute,
pasteurize.
y'all didn't drink
It was
pasteurized
raw
milk?
milk. We strained it, then we poured it in the strainer over the cooler, and that cooler was probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 feet tall, and you poured that milk in it, in the strainer, and it went down, and it was like a washboard. It had ridges on it.
Now, Raymond, before you get, I know what you're getting at, and you fit to get at it. I don't want you talking about buttermilk. We don't want to talk about buttermilk. I mean, who in the world would drink buttermilk?
But we poured this milk through that into that cooler, and when it hit the bottom of that cooler and went into you turned the spout on, it came out in the milk can.
Was it cold?
It was ice cold. We had a pint jar there, and we'd drink a pint right there.
Wait a minute, you drink? What do you mean? It was
I bet it
buttermilk,
was
though.
great.
wasn't
It
it?
was
No, that was
good.
regular milk. We had the Jerseys, Guernseys, and Holsteins. We had our milk. You'd send that can to the house, and they'd pour it up, and then the cream arrives to the top. We had plenty of cream in our
That's right.
on top of the milk.
And you had to move it, or it would get sour, wouldn't it?
Well, we kept it in the refrigerator.
Well, how did you make buttermilk?
Well, you'd set it out. You'd pour your milk in there and your cream on top. Used a certain amount of milk and a certain amount of cream, and you'd let it, call it clabbered. When it clabbered, you churned the butter. I could do that when I was 8 years old.
You mean y'all made buttermilk?
Churned that.
Butter.
To this
Churned
day,
it.
do you drink buttermilk?
I love buttermilk.
You love buttermilk?
Yes.
Look, if somebody out there wanted to know all about me and make me tell all my stories, make me drink buttermilk.
You'd like it if you'd drink that.
That's
Do you
good.
drink
Exactly.
buttermilk?
I do.
Boris, you like
I love
buttermilk?
it. I love it.
Oh, gosh.
We had a pitcher
love
of
it.
buttermilk in that refrigerator, and when you poured it in your glass, there was gold flakes, butter flakes floating around in that milk.
Okay, now all the houses every morning and every afternoon got fresh milk.
Yeah.
Fresh
Every-
milk, and of course it was moved around the whole campus. Now, who did the? Everybody talks about the great foods and the cooks and growing up in the cottage. What would be your normal breakfast, supper, and lunch and dinner?
Cook in each house, she cooked, and she had one boy. He helped to cook. That was your job for 3 months.
He was
helping
up
to
early.
cook.
What time would he be up?
He'd get up he was up probably close to 4 or 5.
Now, you sort of
He'd
wanted
up in
that
the
job to
kitchen.
be close to
Yeah.
the cook, wouldn't you?
And the same thing, girls would be helping
Oh yeah, they got
the cooking in their dorm. Yeah, okay.
One of our cooks was Lily Mae Talbot in the big boy's house.
Yeah.
Lily Mae
And,
Talbot.
she cooked our wild game. We caught fish and squirrels and rabbits, and she'd cook out. We'd watch the biscuits. She'd make the biscuits, cut them out
I mean, you had fresh biscuit every morning.
every morning.
Wow.
And then of course, you know, like he said, if y'all had gone hunting that afternoon and cooked. Now, excuse me, now, Raymond, y'all didn't eat, you didn't eat coons and possums and
We
things
did.
like that, did you?
We did.
Now, I can understand you eating squirrels, but you didn't eat possum and.
If we didn't have enough, you know, we was getting our meat to eat, and if we didn't kill enough squirrels and rabbits, we'd skin us a possum out.
Yeah.
And a coon, we'd fry
Did
it.
you actually like possum?
Oh yeah. You'd get
Excuse me,
that.
excuse me. You wouldn't eat possum today, would you?
I would if you know, if I wanted some meat and didn't have any meat, I'd eat a possum.
You would. Well, but
skin
it'd
and
be the
fry
last
it.
resort. It'd be the last resort.
But you know, the possum was your Thanksgiving dinner and your Christmas dinner. You'd keep that possum, fatten him up, scald him, and scrape the hair off of him like a hog, and then
you
put
mean
him in there and bake.
I didn't know you would fatten up a coon or.
Well, if we shot him, you couldn't fatten him
Oh,
up.
no,
But
you
if
couldn't.
we catch him alive, our old cook, I carried hair possum about every week for, you know, my life.
Yeah.
After I
But
was
so
12.
y'all always had plenty of meat. You'd fish. Now when you would
Oh,
catch fish, you would clean the fish and they would fry them for breakfast.
Fry 'em for breakfast.
Would the girls eat possum in their dorm?
Oh, they didn't. They didn't know nothing
They
about
didn't
it.
know. They
Good
didn't know what,
food.
Now,
they didn't know what they were eating.
Now your regular meal would be eggs,
Oh, you'd
bacon,
have-
and grits.
You'd
Is that
have
right?
bacon or patty sauce.
Did you have meat on the table every meal, pretty much?
The what?
Have
Oh
meat
yeah,
on the table?
you had meat every meal.
Wait a minute now, and of course, so the great breakfast early in the morning, then you had lunch if you weren't in school,
Yeah.
and then you would have supper. What time would y'all eat supper?
It was around close to 5:30 or 6.
And what time would y'all supposed to go to bed at night?
We didn't have no TV way back then, so about
You didn't have a
pretty
television?
early. You'd go to bed pretty early. But when it got dark, you'd go on to bed about 6 or 7 or 8.
You would go to bed that early, some of the guys wouldn't stay up and talk. And
Oh yeah,
did you ever have to say, y'all shut up over there, I'm trying to sleep?
most of the time our house parent folks till we got when we was 8 years old, you'd get a whipping pretty regular at night because you cutting up.
And I could hear the lights out, and I would hear it say, "Good night, Raymond. Good night, Butch. Good night, Johnny. Good night, Gary. Good night, Jerry. Good night, Robert. And good night, Raymond." Is that way y'all
We
do
did
that every night?
They'd say, go to bed and y'all go to sleep and behave.
Well, how did you meet your wife?
Oh, Cherry, I was working with Junior Bird uptown, and Cherry worked at OK Lawn. It was right across the street. When you crossed the overhead bridge, the first business, you know, the big white house, James Rudolph Henderson,
Yeah, that's right.
mother's house, was right there. And then when you came to the first business there on the right, that was OK Lawn Company. Well, you had Dr. Collins' office, City Drug, Western Auto, and then McGraw's Shoe Shop, and then Junior Bird's shop. And so we had mirrors on both sides of the wall, and we'd see folks all up and down the street in them mirrors.
Yeah.
We had a mirror on each side so it reflected. But I was standing outside and I saw Cherry coming up Elm Street. She had a blue dress on, pretty blonde hair. I said, man, that is one more pretty lady. So I wasn't busy. I said, Bird, I'm going to City Drug. She'd go down there for a break, so I went down there and met her. Flirted with her just a little bit. And talked to her. And later on that day, she came by on a 1957 Chevrolet.
That was
Wow.
brand new,
No,
wasn't it?
it was old. But that was in 1965.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I got you.
1950.
I had never seen that girl till, you know, I met her that day at city drug. She came by and I thumbed me a ride. She picked me up, carried me around the block, brought me back. Yeah. I got me a date with her Friday night. And
now she was born and raised right here in Troy. Where was she?
Bullock County, up there,
okay.
Corinth, Alabama.
I got you.
Webster Bottom.
Downtown Corinth.
What bottom? Corinth, you said?
Webster Bottom.
Webster Bottom.
Methodist Church.
Okay, all right.
And big old Methodist church. But anyway, I got me a date with her Friday night. 6 weeks later, I married her.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Well,
now you know the rest of the story.
We're going to talk about
That's
this,
great.
but I want to talk about some other things, some real important things. We're not going to go on break. We're going to tell this story of Raymond Ledford. You know, you were talking about you made it to where everybody wanted to be able to milk cows. That was an honor to be able to milk the cows, and of course, but we're talking about being raised with 20 boys in one house at one time. I know there had to be some bad things that came out of that, fights and arguments and so forth. How did you stay out of a fight with 20-something kids trying to get?
Oh, you had your pecking order. You call it a pecking order. And the big boys, they ran the show. The 8 to 12,
well, they bullied pretty much.
We stayed in the backyard. We didn't get on that front campus. They'd catch you out there. They'd take you down and say, we're not gonna beat you this time, but if you come back on this front lawn, see a 16 or 17-year-old boy, 15-year-old, and you got an 8-year-old, and they going out for a pass. You know, you playing football out there, and they throw that thing just like you do on our lawn was bigger than the football field.
Yeah, right.
And they'd throw that ball, and you running wide open looking for that ball, looking back like it's catching that ball, and that 8-year-old, you run over him, you'll kill him.
That's right.
So they say, boy, we'll kill you if we run over you. You stay in that backyard.
And all those great athletes that came through the Alabama Baptist Children's Home were raised in that front lawn of that building. Now, you had a few situations now. You know, I know that Mr. Cox and Mr. Shire had to discipline you. Raymond, you got you had quite a few whippings.
Every day just about.
So, I mean, you would have to go down to Mr. Cox and Mr. Shire. Did it hurt the way they whipped you?
By the time I was 12, I had the pad, and you'd see, I talk about Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. You'd see them slipping a book or some towels in the back of the breeches. We didn't do it. We didn't need it. We had calluses. We done had several. We had several feet.
Well, let me ask this. You know, if things were so great, Raymond, and I want everybody to hear this, I'm telling you some positive things. This is one of my good friends. I know a lot about him. But, you know, you talk about how great things were. Why did you run away so many times? I mean, you ran away more than anybody probably ever lived there.
There was a lot of them ran away. I didn't run away but 4 times.
But four times. And all right, now tell us what your plan was. You planned it, didn't you?
We planned one night. We had a plan. We were going to hop the train, like a hobo.
Yeah, the train was right down the road.
Yeah, that's 4 or 5 of us. We was right in that back of Standard Chemical, right?
Yeah.
And we was going to get on that train when it slowed down.
That's on up the road a little bit, Standard Chemical.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying we get right in there. We came up through that bottom right there, but
that's right. You ran through Crowland.
Yeah, on the Crowland.
That's right.
And we came up that bottom, and we was making our getaway and running wide open, and about a 4-foot bank. I ran off of that bank wide open, and when I landed out there,
Can you visualize these little boys trying to run and catch the train
in the dark?
And you ran off with it?
Yeah, I ran off that bank and landed flat on my back, knocked the breath out of me.
You thought you were dead,
pulled on, they pull on your pants, revive you. But that ended the train getaway.
Well, when you did get away, what happened? You were able to get away, and you went pretty good way?
Till the next day. The farthest we ever got, Mr. Lamar Mills down on the
Highway
Crenshaw
29.
County.
line down.
T.L. Mills, yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas
We
Lamar.
got Mr. Lamar Mills. We spent the night in his barn, and he came out there the next morning. Of course, Mr. Lamar, he was a jolly fellow. He was always joking and
Yeah.
carrying on. He got us up and laughing and joking with us. Come on in and eat breakfast. Miss Margaret Mills, she cooked breakfast. We ate breakfast.
Well, you didn't know these people before you.
Oh no, we just met them. You know,
They say,
about 6 in the
hey,
morning.
Lamar, there's some boys.
That's a nice barn. That was a nice
he went
barn.
down there and we got in there the night before and
Yeah.
slept. He came in there, we was still asleep. He woke us up. Oh, I've been hearing about you boys running away.
On the radio, they would already.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all were. They were after y'all.
Yeah, looking
They
for
didn't bring the dogs though, did they?
Didn't need dogs. One time I got to Barron Road and Butternegg Road. I think it was Mr. Shire picked us up right there at that corner.
Yeah.
We'd make a big walk through the woods, but all of that was adventure. It wasn't a runaway.
But sort of the sad thing though was you can visualize these old boys running away and getting caught, and they knew exactly what was going to happen. They were going to come and they were going to appear in front of Mr. Hobson Shire or Mr. Cox,
Yeah.
and they were fixing to get their fanny worn out.
Yeah.
And y'all knew that you knew that was that scary to know how bad you were fixing to get whipped.
Oh yeah, you know, but like I say, you know, you didn't run away till you were about 12 anyway.
Yeah.
12 or so. But
Well, let me ask this. I've always wanted to ask you this. What were you going to do about money? I mean, you didn't have any money. You didn't have any clothes hardly. What was your plan?
we was planning on getting away, getting us a job or something. We were gonna do it all. We didn't.
Wasn't it sort of sad to leave all your brothers and sisters
No,
or brothers?
we didn't even tell them bye. We slipped off. They didn't even know we was gone.
Well, let me just say this. This young man has had his little fanny whipped many times, and it wasn't all good either. You know, he was trying to run away, and did somebody make you mad?
Oh, you probably just might have put you on restrictions or something.
Now, these housekeepers and
House
house
parents.
parents, some of them were treated you just like you were their own, didn't they? I mean,
All of them did.
you had wonderful
You-
house parents. I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't ever have any of them that you didn't like any more than some of
Oh
them.
no, Miss Beauty Mae Johnston, she was in the first house and she was a sweet lady.
Yeah.
And then got the
And it was just
Bush
her.
got it.
It was just her overseeing all
she
those
had a
kids.
lady, Miss Luca was upstairs. She
Yeah.
stayed upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Kept us quiet. Miss Beauty Mae, she had a room downstairs. Miss Luca had one upstairs.
So every night, those two ladies had a hard time getting y'all to shut up. Is that right?
You
Go
right
to
about
sleep.
that.
Yo,
Yeah.
shut up down there and go to sleep. Raymond, I'm going to come down there and wear you out if you don't straighten up.
Well, we'd see what we'd do. Miss Luca finally said we wouldn't behave, so finally Miss
Mrs. Johnson, can I go to the bathroom?
We had the bathroom upstairs and downstairs. But anyway, Miss Johnson, Miss Beauty Mae, she'd finally tell us, all of y'all come downstairs, all of y'all.
And this is
she'd
probably
whip all 22 of us. Say if we was 20
She'd whip
there,
all 22.
She'd whip everybody, and then you go back up.
What did she whip you with?
She had a little paddle.
You know, paddle. Did it hurt when she hit you?
Didn't, not much. Well, I reckon when you're 8 years old, you know.
Yeah.
Whenever Pell left, did you get to milk the 18th cow and somebody else?
No, Pell, me and him got out of that business.
Okay.
We went on through.
Yeah.
And,
I want to move on from there. You're right.
oh, yeah.
And
But-
of course, Raymond, you did all these things and you ran away and all that. And of course, how was it during the holidays with Christmas season coming up?
It was fun.
Did you worry about if Santa Claus was going to come or what?
You wasn't, after you, probably might have thought about it when I was 8, but after that first Christmas, you knew Santa Claus was coming. My clothing people was, shoot, I can't.
Well, they were out of Birmingham or somewhere.
No, they was, what was the Tiger? They was Tigers up there at, I can't even say it now, it's 78 years, slip up on you. But they were the WMU
Yeah, that's right.
They were my
They would,
clothing people.
yeah, okay.
But anyway, you had clothes and they
Did y'all have a
made
Christmas
sure.
tree? What would y'all do about a Christmas tree?
Oh, we had tall ceilings, so we had about a 10 or 12 foot high.
Did y'all have lights on it?
Oh man, it was pretty.
So y'all had a Christmas
Oh,
tree,
yeah.
and of course the church was real important. And I can remember so well going to the First Baptist Church, and Dr. Ammerman was a preacher, great preacher. But the home kids would come on, would ride. A lot of times they'd ride the blue bus, or y'all would walk to church.
We walked to church every day.
And that was fun to be able to walk to church. Wasn't it?
Yeah, we'd run wide open.
Y'all run to church.
Till we got older. We could walk with our girlfriend when we got older.
Wait a minute, how did you end up with one of the girlfriend? I thought they tried to keep y'all away from the girls.
We could walk to church with them.
Boy, and some of them were really pretty. One of them
Oh,
came
yeah.
down to my house for lunch, for Sunday dinner one time. Her name was Viola Beard.
Oh yeah.
How pretty was she?
And hey, I describe them like this:
My older
Marilyn,
brother Bill was a good-looking guy, you know.
Marilyn Monroe, Jane Russell,
And
Debbie
Viola.
Reynolds, all these beautiful movie stars. We'd see them on the marquee at the Pike Theater.
That's right.
Walk right by there, ever going to school every day, going to church, whatever.
So most of the time y'all would walk to church and to school, but now many times though you rode the blue bus.
Not much. If it wasn't raining, the boys didn't ride. The girls rode.
And so
We didn't want to ride.
yeah. But what happened though? Did you get in fights? And I know a lot of the city boys and
No,
old boys.
we did, but most all them boys was our friends.
I was going to ask you, did you resent some of those like Robert Cole and Jack Mosley and some of those guys?
No, we did. We
Living
wasn't
across the street
jealous.
from y'all?
We wasn't jealous of anybody.
Now, I know
No,
what I'm saying though. Y'all didn't have fights with them or anything, did you?
Oh, different ones would fight, but we'd fight.
Listen, when I grew up, I had to fight Buster Beach, and I had to fight Curtis Weems. And they looked strong. They looked strong, but you know they cried just like anybody else.
Oh yeah.
A home kid would cry just like anybody else.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
was scared and intimidated by them. But I had to fight them early in the elementary school park field.
You know, most of the time when you get in a fight, when the fight's over, you're the best of friends.
That's right.
You might have got whipped or you whipped him, but when it was over,
But the thing
you're
about it,
the
y'all
best
were
of friends.
bigger, stronger, and were acted like y'all much older.
Oh yeah. I'll come back and tell you who my clothing people was. Like I say, you 8 years old all the way up to I left when I was 18, but I was 17 when I left the home in 1961. But my clothing people was Tallahassee WMU.
Tallahassee,
And
Alabama,
Tigers.
WNU, Tallahassee First Baptist Church.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
WMU.
Well, now the food, of course, was always good. You always have cooks, and then you got in good with the cooks.
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that. But like on special occasions, like Sunday, you would always have fried chicken, probably on Sunday.
Fried chicken, roast, whatever.
I mean, y'all always had plenty, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we had
All right, well,
plenty.
let me look at your hand. All right, now y'all, now there's a breast left on the table, or a wing, or a back. You probably didn't know what they were, did you? And I can see you reaching for them, and another guy reaching for them and stab you with his fork. Is that right?
No, we wasn't quite as bad as Marcel and his family. You know, Marcel Ledford.
That's right.
They had the preacher there, so they had fried chicken, big Sunday dinner, and one piece of chicken left on the. This is what Mike's getting to. One piece of chicken left on the plate, so Daddy said, "Everybody close your eyes, and somebody can get that piece of chicken." Well, everybody closed their eyes, and about that time you hear a bloody scream, you know, and there's 10 forks sticking in top of the preacher's hand. But we wasn't that bad.
That preacher was trying to get the chicken too, and all the other kids.
I was what you was getting to, wasn't it?
Good morning, y'all. Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, I was just calling back in.
Oh, we were hearing some great stories of Raymond Ledford growing up at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. Now, let's talk about Christmas. did you get excited about Christmas?
Oh, every day. You was excited all year about Christmas.
Yeah, y'all didn't talk about Santa Claus much, though.
Oh, yeah, there's still Santa Claus.
So Santa Claus
I
would
believe
actually
in Santa
come.
Claus now.
Hey, would Santa Claus come to your house?
He would.
And,
We'd see him in person.
Tell us typical what would a Christmas Eve and a Christmas Day have been like.
Well, you just, we did a lot of, your house parents, you do Christmas carol. And then always had the Wednesday night programming, but at the administration building, auditorium up there, and we had to sing carols. We went around to each house, you'd go around caroling.
Yeah, exactly. That was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good morning, today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, Will Matthews.
Will Matthews, we got Raymond. You've heard of Raymond Style Shop in Troy, Alabama. Raymond, long-time barber here in town and great Trojan. And we're talking about Christmas at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. Have you ever heard of the Alabama Baptist Children's Home, Will, growing up?
Absolutely. In fact, of course, I'm a Methodist, and we got one in Selma that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
supported for years.
Yeah, And of course, we're talking about Christmas at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. Let me bring Mike Amos in here a minute. Let's see, right here. We'll bring him in right here. And then we'll bring Will in right here. All right, we got both of you now. We got Raymond, who is a legend in many ways. Of course, you grew up in a hurry, though, at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. From 8 years old, you couldn't wait to be one of those big boys. Is that right?
That's right.
On Christmas morning, how would it be like? Would everybody run to their presents, or?
Well, you came in and sat down and
so they wouldn't let you go crazy like my kids used to do. I'd say, hey, y'all shut up. We're gonna let each person open their gift one at a time.
Yeah, you just gather around and about like you do at home now. Somebody look under the tree.
It'd be a name
Couple,
there.
2 or 3 of them, and they'd find your name. They'd bring it to you. They just brought it all over.
So you were sitting there, a little boy or a 13-year-old boy wanting something for Christmas, and did you usually get to unwrap the present, or were they already unwrapped?
No, they were wrapped. All of them were wrapped.
Yeah, and then how about fruit, nuts, and things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that?
We had plenty of fruit, plenty of nuts. Well, we picked pecans up in the yard.
Yeah, that's right.
You
But
know,
tell
we
me,
had that.
Raymond, how old are you now?
78 last Monday.
And how many years have you been cutting hair?
60.
That's amazing.
School got out for Christmas in 1960. I started work with Junior Bird. Got out on Wednesday and went to work Saturday morning.
all right, what do you remember what you charged for a haircut back then,
Yeah.
or how much you got and how much
When
Junior
I walked
got?
in the barber shop that morning, Junior Bird said, Raymond, yesterday, Saturday morning, this Friday, well, I say Friday, yesterday these haircuts was 75 cents for a regular haircut and $1 for flat top. Said this morning, $1 for the regular and $1.25 for the flat top. So I was there about 2 months, you get to cutting hair and
Yeah.
knowing everybody. I was sitting there, 6 barbers and I counting me. And all these old men, and then Pale and Bert Martin. And,
Baby Crow?
yeah, Baby wasn't there then, but anyway, so they
MacArthur
said,
Weaver?
yeah, Mac cut. But that morning when I was sitting there a little smart alecky, I was thinking of a little old joke I could tell him. So I told Bird, I said, Bird, Junior Bird, Pop Bird was back there.
Yeah, yeah.
But Junior Bird was sitting there. I said, Junior, you know why you could go up the first day I came to work? You went up
Yeah.
a quarter ahead, You know why you could do that? And he said, no, why? I said, you finally got somebody in here and knew what he was doing. And 4 of them fired me. Every one of them hollered, boo, boo, you fired.
Yeah.
4 of them fired me and every one of them booed me.
Now let me ask you a question.
I took it back real quick.
There were 6.
Hey, Raymond, I'm just interested, talking about haircuts. I always try to tip when I get a haircut. What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten cut somebody's hair?
I expect this past week I got a $50 tip.
Did you really?
And
That's right.
Had you been cutting that guy's hair?
Oh, I have.
think you're fixing to cry.
I'm not crying. It was a nice tip, I tell you that. But I've got a lot of $20 tips, but I got a $50 tip this past week.
Well, let me ask this. Of course, this young man from the Baptist Children's Home, you were talking about there were 6 chairs, and Junior now was the main guy. Well, the old man was one of them was the first, and the other was the 6th, wasn't it?
Yeah, Junior, he didn't work. He worked on the 2nd chair, I think. And
now who had the first chair? His daddy?
I believe Clovey Shiver he was on the first chair.
All right, did it matter as far as being to do business? Did it matter which number you were?
We didn't take numbers. You just came in and sat down, and you watched to get in whatever chair you wanted to.
Now, how about like Junior? I'm sure had regulars that he.
Oh yeah, he
had regulars.
Buried had them, but when you got a new, just like me coming in, you'd have somebody sitting over there. Mr. Ada Jeffcoat, he's a world famous man. It was. He's gone out of heaven, but first week I was there, Mr. Ada came in. First day he came in and said, "Boy, I'll let you learn on my head." We were cutting pretty good, but certain things we didn't know. We couldn't shave his neck with the razor.
I know that was the thing about it.
Junior Baird taught us that. But Mr. Ada said, "I'll let you learn on my hair." And he'd cut my chair every time.
Yeah.
Did you?
But now you did shave the necks.
Oh yeah.
Boy, it made you feel good, and then you do that right there with
Put
the
that
towel.
Osage
Boy, it
rub
felt
on
so good. And all
Sea
that.
breeze, Osage rub. It felt good.
Did you ever singe ears with a candle?
I didn't never try to singe. Pale did, and they singe when they got a pipe with cleaner, a pipe cleaner, and they'd light the end of it, and they'd shampoo somebody's hair and fluff it up, and they'd just take it and they'd run that fire across the edge of the end of the hair. Said it burnt the ends off of splitting hairs. But Mr. Elmer Cardwell, he was the owner of the shop that Junior Baird and Pop bought. But Mr. Elmer, he was a pretty good character and a fine fellow. He was so fine. And he said he got some. Junior Baird told me about it. The old stories in the barber shop. He had a lot of world famous stories. But anyway, Junior said Mr. Cardwell, he fluffed him up and said he got his witch and lit it and stuck it up there, and about that time said, whoo! That fire went all over the man's head.
Oh man.
And it just burnt the ends. And the split ends, it burned them off. Didn't burn, you'd have thought it burned his whole head off. Every bit of his hair. It burnt the ends, and Mr. Elmer says, "Well, I'll declare, I bet you I've done 10,000, and this is the fastest one I've ever done."
Talking to Raymond Ledford, of course, at Raymond Style Shop on South Grundy Street in Troy, Alabama. Of course, now you're growing up. Now, what did you do? Now you started making money, and all your friends back at the house weren't making money.
Oh yeah.
Did a lot of them want to borrow money from you, or did you give them any money?
They had money too. In the summertime, we worked. We started
Well, how
off.
much were they paying you?
12 years old, you got 10 cents an hour.
10 cents an hour.
80 cents a day was pretty good.
Highway robbery.
Walter Morgan told me about working up at Veneer Mill up there. Don Barr's Veneer Mill.
Yeah.
They worked 50 cents a day.
Yeah. You worked for such a long time. How have those legs held out all these years? Yeah, I mean, you spend most of your time standing up.
Yeah. My heart doctor, about a year or two ago, he says, "What's all these very close veins?" I said, back then it would have probably been cutting 55 years, I said, I've been cutting hair in Troy for 55 years.
Oh, that's my grandchildren down in Florida, Northwest Florida, at Grace Beach.
That's Will Matthews' dogs.
Oh, is that Will's dogs barking, Will? Will,
I let them off at the groomer.
Will, you heard of Bobby Marlowe? The great Bobby Marlowe was born and raised pretty much out at the Baptist Children's Home, and Wallace Hogan was an All-American signed with Alabama. They've had some great ones. James Davis, one of the last great ones, was a wonderful player. And the
Gary Pruitt.
Gary Pruitt and all the Pruitt boys, Pruitts and Larry and Gary and were all very good athletes. But they just came through there like you wouldn't believe. And of course, who would forget a guy that never even played on the team, but James Carroll was as good as any of them to come through there, wasn't he?
Well, James, he left when he was in the 10th grade.
Yeah.
He played football a little bit.
I grew up with all the kids from the Baptist Children's Home. I'm trying to think, when did the Baptist Children's Home close in Troy?
2000.
2000, okay.
Yeah.
And that broke your heart, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I didn't like it, but we blamed it on the government. They interfered. They said you can't get a child over 50 miles. I came 170 miles. We had folks at the Baptist Home from Huntsville, Mobile, just all over the state, and 200 miles away. And that 50-mile distance, that put us out of business.
Well, I'll tell you something else too. People want to know how y'all did. You had friends in town and that thing. But one of your guys, Bert Martin, married Dr. Stewart's daughter and been happily married for 55, 60 years.
Oh, he's
Bert Martin and Dr.
I've been
Stewart's
married
daughter.
55 years.
But did that make you feel good to see one of your guys marry the doctor's daughter? And then, of course, one of your girls growing up, and everybody thought she was the most beautiful girl in the world, was made of cotton. Back then, you had Miss Alabama, and then the next thing was made of cotton. That was quite a prestigious thing. And this girl from the Baptist Children's Home,
Mildred Nelson,
was Alabama's made of cotton.
Yeah, she got that.
And of course, I grew up with a young lady that was so talented, and Aldridge.
Pat
Aldridge was so talented and so forth. And
not
only did they have athletes that grew up and did very well in society after they graduated, and we'll talk about that in a second, but they excelled not only on the ball fields, but the beauty pageants and the school honors and so forth.
Yeah. Will, I was just telling Mike a few minutes ago, we walked by the Pike Theater, and on the marquee was Jane Russell, Debbie Reynolds, Marilyn Monroe. Well, I was telling them, we had just the pretty girls. Our girls looked like the girls on the marquee up there.
That's right.
They were beautiful.
That's right.
Vicky Beard, Viola, and Blanche Beard.
Yeah.
And then you just... we just had beautiful...
Now, what were the rules now about the girls and the boys? Now, the girls that were at one part of the...
they were on the other side of the campus.
Did you ever try to sneak up?
You wouldn't sneak over there because Mr. Cox would tighten you up for sure. But a
lot of things happened between the Baptist Children's Home and the First Baptist Church.
Oh, yeah, you could...
As far as walking with
your
girlfriend.
To church, First Baptist.
How was it to hold hands with a girl that you admired for a long time?
Oh yeah.
But they probably said, y'all move on over.
Well, see, we walked from home.
Ronnie Carroll, I want to walk with Ronnie Carroll, Raymond. Raymond, let go of my hand. I want to hold Ronnie Carroll.
You wouldn't be that bad off. You was rating when you was walking with them. We'd walk them to church in the evening, and then night we'd walk them home.
Yeah.
So, you...
Ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted to, they would have paid for all your college expenses. Many kids went on to Stanford University, then Howard College, and got great degrees and were very successful business people all the way across the country. And, of course, Raymond is the godfather of them all now. Let me tell you something.
My great
If somebody died or somebody needed help, needed money, they went to Raymond. Raymond, you've had a request from a lot of your former, kids that went to the Baptist Children's Home. You've seen it all, and you're the godfather, Raymond.
Oh,
You and the Scroggins girl.
Yeah, Lee and
Scroggins, and she would take care of some, and you would take care of others. But you've been right there in it. I mean, you haven't left that, and you haven't forgot where you came from.
Oh no,
Raymond, another thing, you found the Lord Jesus Christ when you were 8 years old, didn't you?
9 years old.
9 years old. Was that a long walk for you to go down and do that?
It wasn't that bad. I was sitting on the back row in that Alabama Baptist Children's Home. We had 200 folks sitting in one area. All of us sat on the, when you walk in on the right,
that's right.
That whole section, we covered the whole section.
And you didn't make a mistake and sit over there either. That was their place, and at least 200 people were at every service.
Everybody had to go. Later on, they let a few folks move to other churches, but we stayed right there.
All right, your walk to Christ. Tell us about it.
Oh, it was walk down there. I got saved.
Were you scared?
Let me tell you where I got saved. I was about right there where Ruby Hughes is in.
Yeah.
A fellow named Max, I can't remember his last name, but the preacher, evangelist, came in there. And
that was on Highway 231.
Right there on 231, and they had a big tent there. Tent revival.
Tent revival.
And I went in there that night, and he was preaching, and I got saved then. And about a week later, I joined First Baptist. I walked down the aisle.
And you were 9 years old, and you were
after you
baptized. You were baptized.
When you get baptized, you don't ever fear death. You don't. You know where you're at. Of course, you still sin now. Everybody sin. Jesus is the only person that never sinned. The only man on this earth that didn't sin. You're gonna sin, but
from
you
the
know
ninth
you're
grade
saved.
on,
You're saved.
You live with the Lord.
Oh yeah. Talk to Him every day, and I'm riding up 231 to the barber shop. I thank Him for my business, my family, the beautiful weather, the rain. You thank Him for everything, every day, and especially your business and your friends. Yesterday morning I told him, appreciate him looking after Troy, Alabama.
That's right. No question about it. And there's no stronger Trojan than that orange and blue. It's always meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
Now, when you ride to work every day, pretty much you go right by the Baptist Children's Home. Do you think about something? Do you think about it almost every day?
See, I don't take that route. I take the fast route.
You don't go up Elm Street?
I can go from my house to the barber shop in about 5 or 6 minutes if I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
And it takes a little longer. You get caught in that school crowd.
Now, let me ask you a question a lot of people are asking, wondering about. What happened to you in your life being taken away from your family at the age of 8 years old, all the way down to South Alabama, the Alabama Baptist Children's Home? How would you say your life went?
Oh, like I told him when I first started this morning, I led a charmed life ever since I got to Troy, Alabama. It's been great. You have a few setbacks, but you work all out in the Lord will look after that, so you don't worry about that.
I call you the godfather of the Alabama Baptist Children's Home, and I really mean it because you've meant so much to so many people. You carry a responsibility. How do you feel about that?
It don't never cross my mind. We loved everybody, and everybody loved everybody at Baptist Home.
But from my good buddy Jimmy Ward, there's so many folks that have passed away. And you've gone in and comforted their family.
Oh, yeah.
You're almost like a preacher, Raymond.
No.
But I mean, the kids at the Alabama Baptist Children's Home has had you to lean on all these years.
Oh, yeah. But I lean on them. you know, Ricky Thompson.
Oh, I love Ricky.
Ronnie Carroll, he's up in
Ronnie Carroll.
Trussville, Alabama. You just there, MacArthur Weaver. He
James
came to
Davis.
a homecoming and he got an award, and I made a statement. I said, Mac might not have come today if it hadn't been for that award. Well, he saw me and said, I heard you've been talking about me. I said, Mac, me and you just like this. I can talk about you if I want to. He said, that's right.
Yeah.
He said, Raymond, let me tell you. He said, I've been the song director, youth leader in Valdosta Baptist Church all these years. This has been about 10 or 15 years ago. He said, the reason I don't come to every homecoming, he says, one of the folks that die in the church, the older people, and he said, the family asked me to do the services instead of asking the preacher, because I've been there longer than he has. And he retired, but MacArthur Weaver, he was right there, just everybody, you know. He says, I would have come, but I had to do a funeral or a wedding. He'd do the weddings.
Wonderful, wonderful people.
But you know, you got.
But y'all kept that group strong, hadn't you?
You did.
And there's some
Everybody
great people in it.
works at it.
I could name them just over and
Oh,
over
yeah.
and over and everything.
All of 'em, yeah.
You know, Raymond, you have been a great inspiration to a lot of people, and I know your life. Talking about your life today, and you're also what a great person that you've become. You know, by living out of the Pike Alabama Baptist Children's Home. I know that's something that goes through your mind every day, doesn't it?
It does. Well, I tell them too. We talk about the, government closing the home by the rule that they came up with. I tell them now. I said, about 2000, we were doing great. Everybody's doing great. Everybody's family. Not everybody. You still got folks that's in a tight, but they get some help. Folks will help them. But I told them. I said, now the government closed this home by their rule of 50 miles. You can't get a child 50 miles away. But I said, let me tell you something. If we come back, this, corona pandemic, right now, you could come up, you might need some Baptist homes. But Donald Trump says that we never did do it. I never did talk to him, but nobody never told him. But he says, you need to turn this back over to the churches. You need to let the church do this welfare stuff. Yeah. And says, but I was thinking, I said, if I could ever get up with Donald Trump, Michigan, Wisconsin, they could have 20 homes. Chicago could have 30. Baptist homes, Methodist, Presbyterian, whatever, Yeah. And I say, one of these days, if you get in a tight in Troy, Alabama, we have a depression. I said, somebody will donate 450 acres
That's
of land.
right, no question.
We'll build the dairy, we'll build everything, 8 cottages.
That's right.
We'll have a Baptist home. And
but the wonderful thing about it, though, they didn't tear it down. It lives on through the sorority houses and so forth.
I was glad Troy State bought the home because I said, businessman come in there and you got just a fine, you got fine lots there. He could come in there and build, $1 million homes.
No question about
a bunch
it.
Of
Apparently land can't sell around the university. We've been trying to sell land around there for years.
Well, let me just say this. We've got a lot going on today with the turkeys from heaven, and that if you buy a turkey today at Piggly Wiggly.
You got a great football game tonight too. BYU, the great BYU Cougars against Central Florida Golden Knights.
That will be a good game. But if you want to support this great program on the turkeys from heaven, ladies and gentlemen, you could go by Piggly Wiggly today and buy those tickets on that, $15 per turkey, and the more the better. They go, and the whole turkey meal and all the trimmings goes out to needy people all over the country. And Kelly, you do a wonderful job.
18-wheeler full of toys yesterday?
Yeah, well, right now the toys it was about half packed when I went by there, and a lot of toys have been raised by Sanders Truck Lines right here in Troy to go to needy boys and girls across the country. You never felt like you were needy, did you?
I never, no.
I mean, what I'm saying, the Baptist Children's Home, if you'll think about it, ladies and gentlemen, and hear about it, let me just tell you a quick story. I coached a bunch of kids in the late 60s under Jim Tompkins. A couple of the guys came up to me one day and said, Coach, you want to come to steak night? We got steak night every Thursday. Would you like to come and have a steak with us? I said, sure. So me and Jim Tompkins and William Davis and on the staff guys on Charles Henderson's football team, we sat down there and they brought me a big old T-bone steak and put it on in front of me, and they got it out of a frying pan there. They fried these T-bone steaks. And boy, I said, man, Jim, that was a good steak. Oh, that was a good steak. And then a kid walks up and says, you ready for another one?
Wow.
I mean, all you could eat steak suppers for the football players in that cottage. You know, Jerry Bryant and those guys. Yeah. And hey, how many times at your house do you say you eat a big old T-bone steak and it covers your plate, and they come back and ask you if you want another one?
Hey, Will, every year Mike tell the same story about them T-bones. I tell him, I never saw a T-bone, a sirloin, or a ribeye at the Baptist home. But that country fried steak and that roast, it was fine as you ever want to see. We had plenty to eat, but he's telling us they had a different, everything progresses. Like I say, Mr. Cox was there, and I tell folks, they say, Mr. Cox was one mean fella. I said, no, he was tough, but I said, let me tell you something about the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. When Mr. Cox was there, you needed a fence around that thing with locked gates. As it progressed, Mr. Shirey got there. He changed, he mellowed kind of down. Psychology, he was a psychologist.
He was one of my son's favorite people on this earth.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Shirey could have been a preacher. He was our song director and preached to us at the home. And then a great superintendent of the Baptist home. But he'd tell you anything and you'd listen to him, and you just, he was just a great man. But you had several great folks.
I know when y'all met and sang Christmas carols, that was the best thing in the world. Y'all would go to each cottage.
Me and James was back there. We was humming maybe, but we wasn't singing. Ronnie could sing.
You were humming, but he wasn't singing.
No, but we couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. But anyway, what I was saying about Mr. Shirey, he was a great man, but as he progressed along, everything got better. Shoot, they'd let him borrow the car. We couldn't even ride in the car, But they'd let him borrow some of the cars at the home, and they'd take the girlfriends out on dates.
But I was there when the blue bus took that football team to Greenville, or took all the Baptist children home to Greenville, and we on a rainy night with fog everywhere, where Columbus Patman ran out from the huddle in the game, reached up and grabbed a goose.
Oh, you said
it was a goose.
He
grabbed a goose out of the air, but that was
mallard duck.
You had the same game I was.
Oh, yeah. He reached up, he jumped up and caught the duck, and he carried it to the sideline, and I said, we're going to be eating this duck Sunday morning for breakfast. Columbus will bring him home. A game warden got it.
Your life has been fulfilled many, many times.
Oh,
you're beloved by as many people as anybody I know anywhere. Everybody loves Raymond, and what a great man and everything. Give us your...
There's a TV show about it.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Everybody loves Raymond, and you've got worlds and worlds of friends. Your life has been wonderful through Jesus Christ.
It has. It's been fine.
Tell us, wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
In your words.
It's a great time of the year. Jesus is the main reason we have Christmas. He was born on Christmas Day. And worship Him, stay with Him all year, and talk to Him every day. And He'll bless you. You have your ups and downs, but Jesus, just think this is about Jesus. But bless everybody, and God bless America.
And and for me and Raymond Ledford, yours truly, Mike Amos, Forrest Lee, and Mike Amos on the phone. Merry Christmas!
Ho, ho, ho.